Michael. I really don't need one of those things, but you kind of get used to it. It's kind of like an alarm clock. So, Guna Glass is my neighbor. And we have probably had more conversations in the last year and a half, standing in the front yards, on the porch, just about things in town. She has been on certain city councils since June of 14 when she was appointed to fill the seat of her late husband, and was elected following November to a term. She's a well-known conservationist, having recently retired from the California Coastal Trail Association, where she was executive director for almost 10 years. So she is living in that retired world. That's fun. That's fun. Former aide to Mike Riley. She's been active in Sebastopol city and politics for decades, and is excited about what's coming forth in the city. And we thought it's important that once a year, when I guess now you're the official immediate task mayor.
Yes,
as a certified, to tell us what was so great last year and what you hope to see happen in the next year or so, and what's going on. Don't hesitate with questions. She's a great speaker and extremely informed. So here you go. Thank you.
thank you, Terry.
So let's welcome her.
How do you do, honored speaker? How do you do? Is there anything that we can do for you? Thanks for coming here today. We are with you all the way. How do you do, honored speaker? How do you do?
Great, thank you. And what you can do for me in your new song is laugh at my jokes. Good job. Okay, well, as of 7 o'clock last night, I'm no longer mayor. We rotate the mayor every year, and I'm pleased to announce that the new mayor of Sebastopol was my vice mayor, Patrick Slater, and the new vice mayor is Lisa Hinton. So that's the big scoop from last night's city council meeting. So I know some of you, but not all of you, and many of you don't know who the heck I am, other than I have a weird name and you probably see me in the newspaper every once in a while. Some of you I've known a very, very, very long time. I taught a class with Bruce at the JC in the late 70s. I've worked with Mike on and off for like mid-80s. I've known Kathy for years and years. Anyway, I go back with a lot of folks here. But anyway, I've lived in Sebastopol since 1989 with a couple of breaks. I came to Sonoma County in 1971. I grew up in San Diego. I was conceived in London, born in Montreal, moved around a lot pretty early. I am a naturalized American citizen. Technically, I can have 4 citizenships: Irish, British, Canadian, and American. But I'm here to stay. My father was born in 1914, came from an agricultural family, went to a single-room schoolhouse in the Highlands of Scotland, and his cousin thought he was a penny short of a shilling, which means a total nutcase, because he used to tell his schoolmates that we would go to the moon in his lifetime. So this was around, 1919 or something. He was telling them that. So then he went on and immigrated to the U.S. and ended up being an engineer in America's space program. So, he got the last laugh. My parents met in London, where my father was designing planes to win against the Nazis in World War II. He worked for de Havilland's and Henry Page. My parents lived through the Blitz, sleeping in the subway at night while London was bombed. They immigrated to North America looking for more opportunities, first going to Canada and then on to San Diego, because my mother thought the weather would be a lot better than Montreal. She was right. So what did I learned a lot of things from my parents, and what I learned was work hard, Be thrifty. My father was a Scotsman. Look at the big picture. Innovation brings progress. Be respectful of others, but stand for your principles. Good information leads to good decisions. Be kind to others and take care of your community. Care for the land and the planet. And perseverance furthers. These lessons brought me to where I am today, and they are the values I try to apply in my role as mayor and city council member. I also try to apply the knowledge that I gained through my professional experience and career. So a little more background locally, I was a major in political science at Sonoma State University, a wonderful institution. I taught political science at UC San Diego. I worked for a land use economics firm in San Francisco. I owned a computer software and hardware firm where Mike worked, actually. I owned the second computer store in Sonoma County in the late 70s. And I can tell you there were not a lot of women in that business back then. We ended up doing accounting software for many years, and that was primarily how I made my living. Then I went on to be the CFO of our public broadcasting station, and then I went on to work in the nonprofit world. So my career has primarily been about small business, and owning a business has really taught me a lot about thinking about how to make our city financially sound, and also thinking about how to help our community thrive, because that's very important. So, as a council member, I have had a number of priorities. And that my first priority was to ensure our fiscal house is in order as the city. Because if we don't have our fiscal house in order, we can't govern well. We can't accomplish the things that we need to accomplish. So that has been really my first priority. Additionally, I have worked to clarify our community grant process so that we can partner better with the nonprofits in our town. I have been working on how we can increase city revenues, which is very important, and develop a unified message about marketing Sebastopol. To make our community thrive, we all need to be promoting our community with a unified message. We review our goals and priorities annually in the city, and I'm very committed to the idea that our entire council review what are our goals every year, not just, we don't just kind of randomly do things. And the other thing I've been concerned with is maintaining our core services, such as water and sewer, roads, parks, and bike, pedestrian, and recreation facilities. And then the really important one lately has been housing. How do we make housing happen in Sebastopol? So, I'm going to move up here. There we are. So, since I got on the council, I was appointed, as Terry said, I was appointed right after my husband passed away, and he was a former mayor and on the council. And I've been on the budget committee since I got on there. And when I looked at where we had been, it did not look good. The city 5 years ago had a zero reserve. That's like saying you have zero equity in your business. This is not a good situation. So in 5 years, we have gone from having zero reserve to having over $5 million, which means actually our annual general fund budget is a little over $8 million, so we have over a 50% reserve. And that has taken a lot of discipline. That has taken the Budget and Finance Committee, which has primarily been myself and Patrick Sutter, to hold the line on the budget. And I also really have to give credit to our city manager, Larry McLaughlin, because Larry has been very adamant about getting our finances together. So we now have a unassigned general reserve of about 1.5 million, which is approximately 8%. We have a city policy of keeping our unassigned reserve at 15% or better. We also have a $685,000 that's committed to any future needs for buildings. We have 1.1 million for equipment and vehicles, and over $1 million committed to our unfunded retirement liabilities. So you may have heard there's a lot of talk about unfunded retirement liabilities out there. And what's the cause of that? Well, it's not really Sebastopol's fault. The Public Employees Retirement System lost a lot of money in their investments in 2008, and that caused their retirement fund to not have enough money in it. So now, all of a sudden, cities are being told, oh, gee, those people you promised retirement to, well, there's not enough money to cover it. So that we have a financial obligation to fix that. So we've been working on that, and we hired, in this past year, we hired a consultant in that arena to figure out exactly what our liabilities are. And so we've started to contribute to funding that unfunded liability on an annual basis. So we've made considerable progress there. So basically our philosophy has been to maintain what we have and invest in the future. Now, 5 years ago, the city used to do its budgeting by looking at, this is how much we have coming in this year, and this is how we're going to spend it. But they weren't thinking about things like, oh, we need to replace a fire engine in 3 years. We need to replace the roof on the fire station in a year. They weren't planning for that. So they were just looking at income and expense on an annual basis. So we've gone from that to actually planning for crashes. We've gone from that to planning 5 and 10 years out, and that's why we have these reserve funds, because we're saving. We know we're going to have to replace police vehicles every 5 years or so. So we better not spend everything we have. We better save up for that. And that's what these reserves are about, is making sure that we have the money available as needs come up. We've invested in new software. I'm kind of a software junkie. But believe it or not, 3 or 4 years ago, the city was using accounting software that ran from a DOS prompt. I mean, those in the computer world are in shock now. So we completely modernized that. We've got software now. We can do online water billing, those kinds of things, and we're starting to bring up something where we can do online permitting, and a lot of really making us much more efficient. So we've also developed a long-term budget for our capital improvement program. So when we invest in things like new parks, or we have a major road repaving, or we're going to put in bike lanes, or any of those kinds of things, those are our capital improvement projects. And most of those are funded from multiple sources. They're funded partly from the state, partly from the feds, partly from a grant from here, there, and everywhere, and partly from the city. So it's much more complicated than when you decide to do something in your own business. In your own business, you just say, okay, I got the money, I'll go do it. We have to wait to see, oh, well, we're going to build this new building, but we applied for a grant to get it, and so we'll allocate the money from our general fund to do it, but we're not going to build it unless we get the grant, but we're not going to know if we get the grant until we're halfway through the budget. So these things are very complicated to figure out. So we now actually have a massive spreadsheet, so we have all our projected capital investments in a massive spreadsheet, and as we find out whether we do or don't have matching funds, we can figure this out. So we've made a huge amount of progress in that arena. So what do our finances actually look like? Oh, I just want to mention one other thing. The other thing we're working on is considering revenue enhancement measures, which is politicians speak for more taxes. Actually, it's right now we have a half-cent sales tax that has been in place for a number of years, but it's up for renewal in 2018. So we're hoping to renew that, otherwise the city will have some financial problems. We're also looking at creating a cannabis tax, since now it's all legal, let's make some money on it. And we also would like to raise our transient occupancy tax, which is, hey, let's tax the tourists, not us, and get some more revenue out of that. So TOT is the tax that you pay when you stay in a hotel. So what does our budget actually look like? Well, this is a nice handy dandy pie chart. We spend about 59% of our budget on public safety. So that includes the police and the fire department, 47% on police, 12% on fire. And after that, city administration is about 13%, so that's our city attorney, management, finance, etc. And then the planning department is 8%, and then the community grants and community kinds of support, including the community center and now the senior center, are about 5%, and 2% goes to debt service. So that's about what it looks. Our total budget of the general fund is about $8 million, and water and sewer is about $5 million, and other projects are about $2.4 million. So the money we actually have discretion over is about $8.2 million. The water and sewer fund, by law, we can't spend that money. We can't take water and sewer money and spend it on something else, because those are fees. So we charge the public what it actually costs us to deliver the service. If we don't do that, we're in big trouble and it's illegal. And we get audited every year and get sterling, passed with an AA+++. So we're doing the right thing. So where does our revenue come from? Well, you can see this is like split into two pie charts now, and I'm having to read it. So we have the vast majority comes from sales taxes, actually, and which is about $4 million. We have about $2.3 million in property taxes and $480,000 in TOT taxes, which is the hotel tax, and then around 300,000 franchise fees. That means what the garbage people and the cell phone people, etc., pay us for the privilege of providing services in our city. Then we get about $285 in licenses and permits. So you can see sales tax is by far how we're making most of our money. However, sales tax, when you go to the store, you think, gosh, that darn city, they're charging 8.75% on my sales tax. This is outrageous. Well, actually, the city only gets about 2% of it, and the rest of that money goes to the state and all kinds of other programs. So don't blame us. A lot of it's going somewhere else. And so you can see that for us to increase our revenue from sales tax means we get about $20,000 in sales tax from $1 million in retail sales. So you can see that would take a heck of a lot of retail sales for us to get a lot more money. And the way that we can raise revenue as a city is restricted by the state. We can't just decide, hey, let's have a Sebastopol income tax, or let's tax people looking cross-eyed at people or something. You know, we can't do that. And we're very limited in what we can do. But you may have heard we've approved a new hotel that's going across the street on the plaza, which is going to be a high-end hotel, which I fully support. However, you can have too much of a good thing. So I think having one hotel there is a good idea, but we don't want to get so many hotels we become like Healdsburg, where you can't go in your own downtown because there's so many tourists there. So I think we need to stay in a happy medium kind of area. But in any case, that's projected to bring us another $400,000 a year in bed tax, which is a 5% increase in our budget just from that one thing. So you can understand why cities like Healdsburg have actually built a lot of hotels, is because they get hooked on all that money. But then they don't make their citizens happy. So, this is split. So, what do our revenue trends look like? Well, you can see sales tax receipts kind of say something about what our economic situation looks like in the city. So you can see it's going up. So our sales tax receipts have been going up every year, and since 2009, it was pretty flat there for a few years, but it's really bumped up the past few years. And this is our TOT, which is the bed tax receipts. It went way up. You may wonder why it went way up so much all at once. And I don't know whether this is true or not, but it is the opinion of many that it was actually the casino that did it. There are so many people coming to Sonoma County to go to the casino that they're staying in Sebastopol because they like it better than out there in Hunter Park. I can understand that. Sorry.
Just say it was a joke.
It was a joke. Hey, listen, I joke with Jake about that all the time. So the mayor of Hunter Park and I have quite a little joke going. So all in all, I think our financial situation in Sebastopol has significantly improved. It's on the upswing, but I think most important, we have gotten much better fiscal control of what's going on in our city. So what else are we doing in the city? What have been some recent accomplishments? Well, we finished our general plan update, which is something the state requires you to do every 20 years. We finished that. We have started the zoning ordinance changes that will comply with that new update in our general plan. So this all sounds like pretty boring stuff. I can see you guys all going to sleep in the back, zoning ordinance, what could be more boring? But actually, part of what our zoning ordinances are going to do is encourage more development in our downtown core. Hopefully we'll get some upscale as well as some workforce housing apartment buildings that are close to our downtown core where people can walk around and patronize the businesses and the restaurants downtown. We've been working on, we set our goals and priorities every 2 years, and that really makes us toe the line about what we're doing. We have our bike lane projects are underway. We got a lot of funding from the state for that. It's very hard for us to do these little projects just of our own accord. We don't have really the funding to do those kind of projects without getting money from the state. So we've been very aggressive applying for grants, and we got those, so the bike lane projects are underway. The Highway 12 bridge is complete. Willow Street is repaved. We are no longer having to send out rescue vehicles for people that are falling through potholes on Willow Street when they're on their way to the swimming pool. We have allocated money for a hawk, which is going to be installed shortly, next to the Burbank Senior Housing. So what is a hawk? A hawk is a traffic signal where you push the button and it actually makes a stoplight happen for pedestrians. And we were getting, a lot of the seniors there were having a hard time getting across the street because the traffic is so fast there, and people from senior housing were so slow. Not a good combination. So we've just put that out to bid, and that's about to be installed. We've replaced the solar on our fire station, which had failed, and so we replaced it. We have a really high adoption rate of solar in our town, and our city has invested a great deal in solar. But it had failed, and we found that we actually had a huge bill because we didn't have that solar anymore, so we put it back in. We have the hotel, a new hotel is moving forward, and by the way, that hotel is about a 68-room hotel that's going to be very high-end, but the other end of the hotel is a hostel. So this is going to be an interesting combination in our downtown. And we have rescued the senior center this year, which was really having a problem. So other issues on the public radar, fire disaster, pretty much during the fire, I was, from October 9th, I was on 7 days a week dealing with issues to do with the fire. Although we didn't have the fire here, this has had a huge impact on our community. Our fire department was out there for 2 weeks on 24-hour shifts. These are volunteers. These guys are such heroes, I can't begin to say. We hosted 500 people in our rescue shelters. We took care of several hundred Red Cross volunteers who were also living in our shelters. I worked a lot with Supervisor Hopkins' office, trying to find emergency housing for people. I contacted, the first day of the fire, I contacted a woman who runs a program called Share Sonoma County, where she finds roommates for seniors, and asked her if she could expand that program to find roommates for fire refugees. She did. We made a brochure, we distributed it. She had 1,100 people volunteer to take in fire refugees, which is a pretty amazing thing. Okay, we have downtown sidewalk and street repairs. I'm going over time here. Okay, repairs by Caltrans. This has been a perpetual battle between our city and Caltrans, trying to get them to listen to our local community needs is really hard. I just want to say one other thing that's really important is this past year we also did pass an indivisible ordinance. In collaboration with our police department, we are making sure that we take care of our immigrant labor and the immigrant members of our community, which I feel is very, very important. We passed that, and we also contributed to the Secure Families Fund, which helps take care of people that get in a legal situation there. So I guess that wraps it up. Traffic is always a problem. Yep.
We do have one last task for you, and if you wouldn't mind staying after for answering a few questions, we've run out of time for that. We actually have a drawing here, and so if you will pick out a ticket.
The winning ticket or
And the number is, last four, 8161. Okay, and we will be looking for the ace of spades, which will be in there somewhere. And the consolation prize this morning was from, raise your hand. Consolation prize.
Oh, Pam.
Pam. Thank you, Pam. Okay. That's all you get. Four of diamonds, so close.
Thanks for playing.
Oh, well. So you get the consolation prize. And from several weeks ago, when Darlene had to leave early and the winning ticket was pulled, and the winning card was pulled, Darlene. And that was done by Gus. Talk about full weight test, huh? Yeah, so enjoy it. It was 246 bucks plus there was 268 plus there was some extra. So yeah.
Darlene, I have one hat left. You'd look good in this. Let's support those people in
Everybody
junior
know
high
what's
school.
going on with the hats? Did you get the email that Patrick sent out? This is a fundraiser by. Tell us about it.
This is by Anna Marie Morales, who has graduated from Annalee High School.
Watch out for the volume.
All right, you're allowed.
She graduated from Annalee High School and she goes to the Santa Rosa JC. And she, as a young Hispanic lady in lower income, also realized that a lot of her friends were in the same plight that she was. And she devised a fundraiser where she had 100 hats made. And then she went to the fire departments and first responders signed all of these. And this was an article that was in the PD, and I took a look at that, and I thought, I'm just going to buy some of these hats, and what I want to do is resell them, and with the funds that come from this hat, I'm going to take it and put it into the same fund she's funding over at the JC. So you can see Joe and myself and Michael back there, and Bill, we have bought these hats. I have one left. There's no more available. Thank you. That's it. Too late.
Yeah.
No.
You can buy mine.
Darlene's got the cash, I know it.
Auction.
Thank you, Bill.
Way clean chug of the day, Judy Rice.
No, you've had that up there for 3 weeks. I did it 3 weeks ago.
Bill, it's me.
Oh, Barbara.
Okay, is everybody ready?
Yep.
What happens to a frog's car when it breaks down?
Croaks. Ribbit.
It gets towed. What did the doc say when she brought lipstick?
Put it on my bill.
And mine, there's Santa saying, okay, yes, I went to my old girlfriend's house last night. It's my job. So we were going to be talking about fundraising this time, and we had some other things like the nomination of our new officers, so that has been postponed till next week. If there's no other business for the good of the order, this meeting is adjourned. Sing a song, Joe.
Happy trip.